Okay, this is part 3 of lesson 1. We've covered that you are either a lark or win kind of candidate, a strategic candidate, a hot candidate, or a premium candidate. A premium candidate, like I said, if you walk in and you say, hey, I have $10 million to self-fund, you are going to be a premium candidate because the party just loves that. But then what does that mean for you as a candidate? What does that mean? Well, we know that campaigns take money. And the reason campaigns take money is because you have to have a team around. You have to have good staff. You have to pay for accounting systems and reporting systems and a lot of other things. Office space, logos, names, everything. Campaign materials, all of that costs money. So the question is, if you are not self-funding, if you're not the person who has $10 million hanging around to run for office, how do you begin the process of getting your name out there, raising money, being taken seriously as a candidate? How do you do that? So now let's talk about this week's assignment. Every campaign starts at the same place. You have to file documents to express that you want to run for office. For federal office, what you do is you go to fec.gov. That is the website that you're going to go to, and that is your assignment for the week. Go to the FEC website, and you're going to download the candidate application and handbook. There's a handbook on there that walks through things. I want you to read it. It's not that long of a handbook. And the form is going to ask you some basic questions. Where are you running? What party are you running with? And some other basic questions. One of the basic questions it asks you, and this is a very important one, is who is your treasurer? Who is your treasurer? Your treasurer is not necessarily the person that does your financing, but it's the person who signs off on your federal fundraising reports. I cannot stress enough how much that person cannot be you. If you are the candidate, don't be the treasurer, right? You want somebody that you trust and somebody who's going to interface with you when the reporting needs to be done. But the treasurer is the name that you have to have already before you file those papers. So if you are running a real campaign in this class with us, find a person who's going to be your treasurer. I highly recommend a brother-in-law who may be an accountant, somebody who's a lawyer, somebody who knows something about sort of interfacing with government. That's what I recommend, but it doesn't have to be that. It could be anybody that you trust to sign off on your reports. The treasurer is the only person you absolutely have to know and have identified for this first step of filing your papers to be a candidate for federal office. Your homework this week is to download the form, download the handbook, and fill out the form. Be it for yourself for a real campaign, for somebody else for a real campaign, or for Mickey Mouse for Congress. That's fine too. Just go through the exercise. Get in the practice of actually downloading a document, figuring out what it requires from you, and filling it out. That process gets you started. And believe me, it's actually quite easy to get started, right? Before you raise money. It starts to get more complicated once you started raising money, right? But at this stage, all you need to do is download the form and fill it out and have the treasurer information on there. Now, super important. The way you fill out your FEC form is how you are going to appear on the ballot, on your account, your federal account. So this is very important. Once you've filled out that form, the next thing you're going to have to do is file an IRS form for an EIN number. IRS forms you can find at irs.gov, and that's going to ask you for an EIN number. What is an EIN number, right? It's the federal tax identification number for your campaign. Why is this important? Because you have to have an EIN number to open a campaign bank account, period. You cannot open a campaign bank account without that. Do not think to open a campaign bank account and just make it, Mickey Mouse for Congress savings account under your own banking information. Don't do that. It is dangerous. You can get caught up in misappropriation of campaign funds. Do not do that. You should have your own campaign name. You should have your own campaign bank account. And in order to have that campaign bank account, you need an EIN number. So you are going to include this EIN number in your FEC initial filing, and that information, the EIN number, the treasurer, and the name of your campaign committee is what's going to get you a federal campaign account with the FEC, right? You'll have a campaign account, and that campaign account is going to be how the FEC tracks your behavior as a candidate, especially what money's coming in, what money is going out. Super, super important that you get this right at the early stages. Yes, people do make mistakes. It is possible to fix a mistake that you make, but do you really want to do that? Because you're going to have a whole lot of other things to think about, right? So I want to recap what I went over during the first session of Hillman Talk or TikTok University or YouTube University or Nubia University's Federal Elections Campaigns 101A. Most important thing to know is where you're running and what kind of candidate are you? Are you a candidate that's just running because you want to try, because you want to put an issue out in the public sphere, because you feel compelled and passionate to give it a shot? That's great, and I encourage that, and we need that too. But understand that your interaction with the party will be minimal. Or are you a hot candidate? Are you one that's sort of grasping to get in and has some resources behind you, has a natural constituency, which we'll talk about next week, behind you, you have some endorsements behind you, you have something and you really want to make a go of it. You're going to be interfacing with the DTRIP a lot. And I will be using that term DTRIP to refer to the DCCC, right? You're going to be interfacing with the DTRIP a lot. To get started, you have to decide what your campaign committee name is going to be. You have to identify a treasurer. You have to get a tax EIN number. You have to open up an account for the campaign and put that information in the document that you file with the FEC. Once that document is filed with the FEC, you are officially a candidate. Now, next week we're going to talk about exploratory committees, which are, kind of starting preliminarily before you officially officialize, if you will. And a little bit about the difference between a exploratory committee and a real committee, but the paperwork is similar. So do yourself a favor and try it. Even if you just download the handbook and you download the form and you just read it and fill it out for Mickey Mouse for Congress. That exercise will kind of demystify it for you and make you able to do that for someone else or for yourself in the future. This is step one of how to run for U.S. Congress or U.S. Senate, but it's also similar to the same step for running for State House or for State Senate. You would go to your State Supervisor of Elections website and download the document to announce yourself as a candidate. And I'm fairly confident, although states vary, that you will also have to have a tax ID number in order to have a campaign account to record your campaign finances. I hope this is helpful. I hope you're excited about this content because I think too many people go into running for office way too naive about what's happening. And I'm going to tell you the truth. Some of it is not necessarily pretty. This is not a course to discuss the way it should be because I think we can all agree it should be better, way better. This is a course to explain how it is and how you can navigate through it. I hope you stay with me for the full 13 weeks and thanks so much for your attention.